Have you ever had a vision for something that you wanted but couldn't find it? Or was like $1 billion and that just wasn't in the cards? That's how I felt about these chairs that I decided to reupholster. As you can see, my dining chairs were pleather before, and my cats just absolutely love to tear up this material. And you can see that literally in this video. So I got sick of the way that they looked, and I had a vision for these zebra mid-century modern chairs. So that's exactly what I made. I started by taking the seat cushion off, and then I used a staple remover to remove the protective lining at the bottom. These chairs have buttons, so I removed those as well. They were just stapled in, and they have like a little thread on them. I just Googled how to do this. And then I once again used the staple remover to remove the pleather fabric. This part is really not hard, it's just so time consuming. This whole project is really, but it's worth it in the end. Because these seat covers specifically were stitched to fit, I just cut the corners so that I could lay it flat. I got the zebra fabric off of Amazon, and to measure out the exact amount that I needed, I just laid the old seat cover over top of it, and then I just cut around it and made sure that I left enough fabric to pull over the edges of the cushion. Once I had that cut out, I laid the cushion face down on the fabric, and I basically just pulled the edges of the fabric really taut around the edges of the cushion, and making sure that there was no like ripples in the fabric or anything. And then I took a staple gun to secure everything onto the wooden board. I also got this off of Amazon, and so this like DIY was pretty cheap, to be honest. Once I had all the edges stapled and made sure that everything was flat and tight, I then went on to the corners. These are definitely like the hardest part, I feel like, just making sure that it looks nice and folded perfectly, and also making sure that there's no ripples. I would suggest looking up a TikTok on how to do that because there are a lot out there that like verbally explain how to do it. And then I wanted to add those buttons back on, and technically you're supposed to use like a certain like needle to do this, but I didn't buy that, and I was like, I'm gonna just figure it out with the stuff I have. So as you saw, I took a literal chopstick and stuck it through the holes in the back, and when it came out through the cushion onto the other side, I cut a tiny little hole into the fabric, and then I tied the thread that was on the back of the button to the chopstick and just fed it through that hole. And then I made sure to pull that thread really tight, and then I stapled it and hammered those staples down to make sure that it was really taut. I reused the original lining to just staple on the bottom, and I made sure that the holes where the screws would go were not covered. I then put the seat cushion back on and screwed it all in, and here I'm just cutting off any of the excess lining that you could see and doing any final stapling touches to make sure everything was secure. And here is the final product. I'm actually obsessed with this. It was such a simple DIY, and I think it totally elevates my space. I'm obsessed.